He opened the rusted container expecting spare parts. Instead, a leather-clad alien goddess stormed out, scanned him head to toe, and said, "You. Mating claim initiated." The container hissed open. He expected spare parts. Instead, a leather-clad alien goddess stormed out, scanned him head to toe, and said, "You. Mating claim initiated." Dax Mallory dropped his coffee. Now, in his defense, it was early. Still had crust in his eye. Early. And he hadn't expected anything from that damn auction crate. It looked like a rusted dumpster that had been used in a prison riot. Twice. But it was cheap. Real cheap. As in, no one bid on it for 8 rounds and the auctioneer started coughing awkwardly. Cheap. Fine, Dax had said, scratching his stubbled jaw. 20 creds. Sight unseen. Mistake. Big one. Like ordering extra creamy from a brothel that specialized in slime aliens. As soon as he signed the claim, the container beeped, steamed, and popped like an angry toaster oven. Inside wasn't a forgotten pile of industrial tubing, nope. It was a tall, purple-skinned, leather-armored warrior woman with muscles that made Olympic champions look flabby. And she was glaring at him like he just slapped her mother. "You. Male. You unlocked my prison. That constitutes a life bond. You will submit, or I will mount you consciously and repeatedly until compliance is achieved." Dax blinked. "Lady, I don't know what you think I just did, but I swear, I was just here for scrap parts and maybe a slightly radioactive toaster." She stepped forward. Her hips didn't sway, they threatened. Armor clung to her curves like an overachieving dominatrix. Her long black braids flicked over her shoulder like whips. And behind her? 12 identical, hairless, greased-up alien warriors stood like statues. They all looked like purple Vin Diesels, but somehow less friendly. "By claiming the container," she said, placing a clawed finger on his bare chest. Why was he always shirtless at the worst moments? "You have invoked the right of selective release. I am Zira, daughter of Warlord Zornak, Bladesworn of the Klazari Dominion." He stared at her. "Right. And I'm Dax, son of Cynthia. Barely sworn of a gas station on Mars." She tilted her head. "You are unclaimed?" "Yeah. And I'd like to stay that way, if possible." Suddenly, her hand went around his throat, not choking, more like measuring. "You will do. You are soft but durable. Lacking cranial spikes, but compensating with..." She glanced down. "Surprising density." Dax covered himself. "Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to step back before I file a galactic-level HR complaint." One of the bald purple dudes moved. "Bladesworn Zira, you cannot life-bond a human. Their pelvises shatter during third-phase mating." Zira grinned. "Then I will take my time." Dax took a step back and slammed his elbow against the crate's emergency seal button. Nothing happened. It just beeped like it was laughing at him. "Okay, wait a damn minute," he said. "What exactly is going on here? Did I buy, an alien bride? Is this some black market space mail order thing?" Zira narrowed her eyes. "You purchased the container. I was inside. By the law of the Bladesworn, that means you own me. And thus I own you in return. That's not how ownership works. Do you wish to dispute our bonding in the arena of mutual bleeding?" Dax blanched. "Lady, I stubbed my toe this morning and nearly cried. No, I do not want mutual bleeding." She leaned in. Her breath smelled like cinnamon and gunpowder. "Then accept me, soft man." From behind them, the auctioneer cleared his throat with the grace of a man who'd seen this exact nightmare unfold before and knew better than to intervene. Sir," the auctioneer mumbled. "Bioassets can't be returned after activation. It's, in the waiver." "I never signed a waiver." "You said I don't read these, then pressed your thumbprint." Dax groaned. "That sounds like me." Zira clapped her hands once. "Excellent. Prepare the bonding bed. Where is the Earthmale's nearest mating chamber?" "Okay," Dax said, holding up his hands. "First off, we call that a bedroom, and second, what in all the hells is a bonding bed?" one of the Vin Diesel clones offered helpfully. A reinforced steel platform with moisture channels and blood runoff gutters. Oh, hell no. Zira frowned. You're resisting. I'm terrified. There's a difference. She leaned close again. You will come around. Earth males are known for emotional denial and glandular bravery. Those sound like insults and compliments at the same time. Zira suddenly turned to her warrior entourage. Leave us. The claiming must be completed alone. If he resists again, I shall initiate the gentle persuasion protocol. The Vin Diesels marched away like disappointed gym instructors. Dax just stood there, mostly naked, sweaty, and questioning every decision he'd made since puberty. So, he said, scratching the back of his neck. Zira, was it? Any chance we can just talk this out over? I don't know, pizza? She blinked. Is that your species' love food? It's our everything food. She tilted her head again. I will allow this pizza ritual. For now. Great. Wonderful. I know a place on Ceres that delivers, if we're still alive in an hour. As she stepped beside him, towering and armored like a war goddess, Zira asked flatly. Do Earth males require foreplay before the mating meal? He coughed. You mean forewarning, right? She did not. Dax figured there were worse ways to die than under the boot of a leather-armored, insanely hot alien woman with a war fetish and intimacy issues. He just hadn't thought it would involve pepperoni. I have consumed the flatbread circle, Zira declared, licking grease off her fingers with startling precision. You may proceed with the claiming. Dax almost choked on his slice. Excuse me? That wasn't a mating ritual. That was pizza night. You said this food signified earth bonds, she said, cocking her head in confusion. Are we not now emotionally intertwined? Lady, that's indigestion, not love. She leaned forward, eyes glowing faintly. Then I demand an official human courtship demonstration. Initiate foreplay. Dax held up a greasy napkin like a white flag. Let's back up. Earth has this thing called dating. It's slow. It's safe. Nobody ends up impaled. Zira raised an eyebrow. That sounds inefficient. Exactly. That's the point. She stood from the tiny couch in his cluttered living unit, armor clinking. Fine. Initiate a human date. 10 minutes later, she was scowling at a tiny aquarium in the Martian Biodome lounge. This is your romantic ritual? She growled. We stare at imprisoned fish and consume overpriced fermented liquids? Dax sipped his beer. Yup. That's basically the whole thing. Sometimes we lie about enjoying hiking. Zira leaned toward the glass, watching a neon fish bob past. I do not understand the appeal. That makes two of us, Dax muttered. But if we make it through this without violence, it's legally a successful date on Earth. A waiter passed. Zira grabbed him by the apron. Do you serve the dessert course of Earth love here? The man blinked. Tiramisu? Zira looked at Dax, whispering. Is that a code word for mating? No. No, it is not, Dax said, hiding behind his menu. Back at the apartment, Dax collapsed onto his bed with a groan. Okay. That was a solid first date. Zira stood stiffly in the doorway. There was no combat, no challenge, no shared blood. How is that bonding? On Earth, we save the stabbing for divorce. She paused. That sounds better. You're not helping. Zira walked over to him, expression oddly serious. Why do you resist me? Dax sat up. Because you scare the living hell out of me, that's why. You talk like love is war, sex is strategy, and my bones are snacks. I would never snack on your bones. She paused. Unless you asked? He blinked. I can't tell if that's hot or horrifying. She kneeled beside him. In Klazari culture, bonding is brutal. We fight, then mate, then fight again. You're different. You use words. You retreat into sarcasm like armor. But I see strength in it. Dax chuckled. Oh, great. I'm the emotional support himbo. I find it arousing. His throat went dry. She leaned closer. Her voice dropped. May I touch your chest again? Slowly this time. You mean without threat of crushing my ribs? I will restrain myself. Dax hesitated, then guided her hand. She brushed her fingers across his skin. A soft touch. Reverent. Her claws didn't dig this time. They traced lines, exploring, learning. He sighed, leaning into her. See? That's what Earth foreplay looks like. She raised an eyebrow. So gentle. Yeah. We're not big on bruises unless we sign a waiver first. She grinned slowly. You Earthlings are far more fragile than I expected. Dax smirked. You say fragile, I say strategically sensitive. Zira climbed onto the bed. Her armor creaked, lips parted, eyes locked with his. Tell me one thing, she whispered. Is this part of your dating ritual? He gulped. Depends. Are you about to kiss me or break me in half? She didn't answer with words. The kiss came like a plasma blast, sudden, hot, and a little dangerous. Her grip was still firm, but not forceful. Dax kissed back, surprised at how right it felt, like electric chaos wrapped in a bow. When they pulled apart, she murmured, Your scent has changed. Dax blushed. Yeah, don't comment on that. She sniffed again. Earth arousal smells edible. Please don't finish that sentence. They sat in silence for a beat. Her hand stayed on his chest. Then, completely seriously, she asked, Do I remove your mating garments now? Dax nearly fell off the bed. No. I mean, eventually. But there's still emotional prep work, mutual agreement, verbal consent forms. She looked disappointed. You require paperwork for coupling? Sometimes even a second date. Zara looked thoughtful. We may skip to second date now. Dax groaned. You're lucky you're hot and terrifying. She leaned close again. You're lucky I've chosen you. Then, just as things started to simmer again, his apartment door exploded. A glowing spear lodged into the wall. Dax shrieked like a startled cat and hit the floor. Zara calmly stood and said, My suitor challengers have arrived early. Dax, still face down, muffled into the carpet. You have challengers? She cracked her knuckles. Of course. But I shall break their spines for you, beloved. He groaned. Can't we just call Space Uber and hide? Too late. Another spear flew through the window. Dax curled up tighter. Why do all your dates end in murder? Zira smiled like a bloodthirsty prom queen. Because I like you. Dax was beginning to think he might be into violent women. He didn't mean to be. It wasn't exactly a kink he'd ever listed on a dating profile. But after watching Zira body slam 3 7-foot-tall purple dudes in leather speedos, growl, Only I may touch the Earthman, and then casually toss their unconscious bodies into the street like recycling. Well, let's just say his pants got tight, and he had some questions for his therapist. Assuming he lived long enough to reschedule. Was that the full Challenger party? He asked, still crouched behind an overturned coffee table that was now very much on fire. Zara wiped blood from her chin with the back of her hand. No. That was merely the scouting foreplay squad. Foreplay? They were here to test my claim to you. By Klazari law, I must slay at least 5 challengers before consummation. Dax peeked out. Wow. On Earth, we just text back 3 times and call that romance. Zira turned, smoldering. Literally, some of her armor was singed. You have passed your test, soft one. I didn't do anything. I screamed. A lot. She stalked toward him with that look again, the one that made his spine stiffen and his libido panic. You did not flee. You showed courage. I hid behind a toaster. A brave toaster. Before he could argue, she was on him, kneeling, straddling, and whispering darkly. Now comes the trial of stamina. Wait, hang on, should we talk about? Too late. Her mouth crushed his, and every nerve in his body screamed in confusion. Half of him wanted to run. The other half, well, it was standing at full salute and waving flags. When they finally broke apart, gasping, Dax said, "Wow. That was something." Zira nodded. "That was the pre-initiation kiss. You are not yet prepared for full soul entwining." He blinked. "Soul entwining?" She reached into her belt pouch and pulled out a glowing, vibrating something. It looked like a combination between a weapon, a sex toy, and an espresso machine. "What the hell is that?" he croaked. "This is the traditional Klazari binding wand. It seals our mating bond through rhythmic application. Lady, I don't care how many settings that thing has, I'm not letting you put alien tech anywhere near my." She activated it. It purred. He whimpered. She raised an eyebrow. "Shall I begin the ritual of lubricated harmony?" "Okay, time out." Dax scrambled backward. "I need a safe word." She blinked. "What is a safe word?" "You know. A word that means stop this sex murder now." "Klazari have no word for that." "Of course you don't." Zira sighed. "Very well. Choose one." "Pineapple," he said immediately. "Is that a mating fruit?" "Exactly." She set the wand aside with a frown. "You earthlings are fragile, and oddly specific." "Thank you." She sat beside him. "Perhaps I overstepped." "You think?" They sat in silence for a moment. His pulse slowed. The air smelled like smoke, ozone, and her. Surprisingly, not a bad combo. Zira turned to him. "Your world is strange. Soft but sharp. You bleed easily but still defy me." Dax leaned back on his elbows. "Yeah. That's humanity for you. We panic first, then get horny later." She chuckled. "That actually explains much." He looked at her, really looked. Under the armor, the aggression, the alien bravado, was a woman who had been caged, sold, and challenged. Maybe no one had ever just talked to her, let alone shared pizza and awkward flirting. "You ever just chill?" he asked. Zira frowned. "This is a battle posture." "No. Chill. Like sit down, breathe, and not try to break someone's pelvis." She stared. Then awkwardly mimicked his cross-legged position on the floor. "Now what?" "We talk. You know, date stuff. I ask a dumb question. You roll your eyes. We both laugh and pretend we're not damaged." She smiled faintly. "You are strange. I've been told." Zira glanced sideways. "What's the dumb question?" He cleared his throat. "What turns you on more, loyalty, strength, or a man who lets you have the last slice of pizza?" She didn't hesitate. "Strength. But only the kind that knows when to yield." Dax blinked. "That's surprisingly deep. I am very complex. I just also enjoy supplexing things." Their eyes locked again. Less pressure this time. More wonder. Then the door beeped. Dax flinched. "More challengers?" Zira snarled. "I will rip there." Wait, Dax said, holding up a hand. He peeked at the display. "Oh. It's just the building manager. Apparently we violated 6 fire codes." Zira brightened. "That means this dwelling is now a battle-certified mating den." "That's not a thing." "It is now." They shared a laugh. She reached for his hand. "You are unexpected. Your heart is strong. Your fear is honest. I think I would like to try this Earth courtship." Dax smiled, squeezing her fingers. "You mean take it slow?" "I mean, you may remove your mating garments at your leisure." He flushed. "Well, I guess I could start with the shirt." Then a crash echoed down the hallway. Zira leapt to her feet. "More challengers!" Dax sighed. "I should have bought a blender." The council chamber smelled faintly of ozone and something far worse, bureaucracy. Jack stood in front of a semicircle of alien judges, arms folded, while Lura lounged across 2 seats behind him like she was waiting for bottle service. One of the judges, a crusty fish-faced official named Drethgal, flicked his gills irritably. You claim ownership of subject LX-27 species Vraxian? Are you aware the consequences of such a claim include mating rights, diplomatic liabilities, and shared tax status? Jax raised an eyebrow. Shared what now? I already submitted our taxes, Lura called cheerfully, wearing an outfit made from parts of Jax's couch. Filed jointly. You owe 14,000 credits, mate. He turned. Why do I owe taxes on a container I didn't even want? She blew a kiss. Because you opened it. That's galactic law, darling. The chamber went silent. Jax turned back to the judges. So, what happens now? Drethgal glared. Your options are, 1. Keep her and face diplomatic immunity violations from 5 systems, 2. Return her and risk assassination from her tribe, or 3. Marry her and make it everyone else's problem. Jax hesitated. Lura stood, sauntering up beside him in what barely passed for clothing. Or option 4, I kidnap you and start a pirate empire. He sighed, rubbing his temples. I already live in chaos. What's a little galactic entanglement? You love it, she whispered in his ear, her breath sending a shiver down his spine. Fine, he said. I'll marry the alien. The gavel slammed. So noted. As they exited the chamber, reporters swarmed. Cameras flashed. Hollow drones hovered. One shouted, Is it true your wife flipped over a hover taxi yesterday and made out with you in front of the Prime Minister's statue? She has a condition, Jax muttered. Lura winked. It's called enthusiasm. They escaped to his ship, well, their ship now. Lura had etched her name on the side in glowing graffiti, SS Hot Cargo. In the cramped captain's quarters, Jax dropped into the chair with a groan. Do I even have a job anymore? Lura climbed into his lap. Nope. But you have a mate, a warband of honor-crazed Vraxian sisters-in-law, and at least 3 pending duels. Perfect. She kissed him, slow, deep, and with enough tongue to file a complaint about. Also, I'm ovulating. He choked. That's not a word you whisper dramatically. She straddled him fully now, grinning. You haven't seen dramatic yet, human. He gave up resisting. You win. She purred. I always do. Cut to. A news holo playing across the galaxy. Breaking. Human civilian accidentally marries alien warlord, becomes supreme consort of unregistered empire. Galactic Senate confused, horny, and terrified.